Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom, back with another video. Listen, this video is going to actually be about. Recently, I had to experience the medical facilities in the Philippines. You know, for the first time, I had a medical issue, and so I wanted to talk about that experience. But first off, I just wanted to add a few quick things to my last video about visa extensions, and these might seem obvious, but I want to just talk about it real quick, you know, because if somebody's coming here for the first time, or if they're extending their visa for the first time, right? I mean, I was here 5 times previously, but I was never here more than 25 days, so I never had to extend my visa. The 30-day visa that you get automatically when you come here. Stamped in your passport. So anyway, so this is for first time extension, visa extension guys here. One thing is I might have mentioned this, but I just want to reiterate, make sure you have your passport, okay, with you, and your vaccine card, especially for that first time. When you go there for the first time. I would bring it every time, right? And you know what? Bring your driver's license also, your U.S. driver's license. Bring that every time. You know what I mean? Like, just be over prepared. You know what I mean? This way, you're not going to be like, stuck. Oh, geez, I got to go home now and come back and spend more money on a taxi or whatever, right? So, so do that, right? Driver's license, vaccine card, passport, all right, and then, and this might go without saying, but I'm going to say it. uh, you know, Dress decent. You know what I mean? Don't go to the Bureau of Immigration looking like a bum, you know. And also don't misbehave, which you think you wouldn't have to say that, right? But hey, you know, just to be real clear, I wouldn't go to any Philippine government office. I would employ those same methods of uh, dressing decent, right, and not misbehaving with any Philippine government office that you ever have to go to. If you're living here, especially, right? So I just wanted to reiterate that. So, all right, that's it. Now back to my medical experience here, right? And I got to tell you, I was nervous about it because I heard you hear different things, right? It's kind of like hit or miss. Uh, sometimes you hear, obviously you want to go to a private hospital, especially if you're a foreigner, especially. But even if you're a Filipino, I mean, if you can do it, it's always better to go to a private hospital, than a public hospital. But I still kind of, you hear different things from different parts of the Philippines, you know what I mean, concerning this, right? Different experiences. So I was a little nervous, you know what I mean? And so I'm also very close to this hospital that we went to. I mean, we literally could walk there, you know, and we did walk there, and back, you know. It's actually it's quicker to walk because it's a one-way street going the wrong way if you're driving. So if you take a cab or a grab, you got to go all the way around. You got to take the other perpendicular street, you know what I mean, and then go all the way around and then go back. So it actually takes like whatever, like 10 minutes, or whatever, with a traffic or whatever. So anyway, but walking you could just go directly across, and walk on the sidewalk, So that was a good thing, right? And you know what? It was a pretty good experience, I got to say. I mean, it wasn't bad. We called them up first. We called up, we kind of like found like, hey, what doctor could see me today? Because I let this go for 4 or 5 days. I was in pain for like 4 or 5 days. You know what I mean? Like before I was stubborn. You know what I mean? I didn't like go right away or whatever. And so when I finally went, it was like, hey, I want to go today. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to wait a week, to, I've already been waiting almost a week, because of my stubbornness, right? So anyway, so I called up the hospital, just sort of found out like, hey, which doctor could see me today? It was in the morning when I called, right? 8 in the morning or whatever. And so I got it. There was one doctor that wasn't available till the next day, which would have been like tomorrow, right, of the day that I called. And then there was another doctor that was available today, and also in the morning from 9 to 1. A lot of times what you'll find here is, doctors aren't always going to be, I guess it's the same in the US. They're not always going to be at that one hospital like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day or whatever. They're going to be in that hospital maybe 2 to 3 times a week for maybe half a day each, either 9 to 1 or like 1 to 5 or whatever. That's how it works here. So I found a guy that's, he's there in the morning on different, like 3 different days actually of the week. And one of the days was the day that I wanted to go, that same day. So I went, okay. And you don't really make an appointment. You just kind of, okay, I'll be there. And then you show up and you kind of let them know, you let the secretary of that room where that doctor is, you sort of let that secretary know, hey, I'm here, I'd like to see this doctor. And then you sit and you wait a little bit, right? And it really wasn't that long, I mean, I don't know, it was a half an hour maybe I waited, I mean, I've waited longer than that in the US, when I had an actual appointment, you know what I mean, like a 10 a.m. appointment, and then I'm sitting there till 10:45, so that wasn't bad, and so yeah, pretty, it was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty smooth, right? I'm not going to talk about the details of it because we don't know exactly, 100% what the problem is. And when I do find out, or when it gets resolved and everything, then I'll do another video about it. But I don't want to like speculate and whatever. But what I will talk about is, okay, how much was it to see the doctor, right? How much was the prescription that I got? There was a couple different, meds that I got, right? And stuff like that, and any other sort of ancillary cost, So the yeah, the actual doctor appointment, actually seeing the doctor and all that, spending time with him, and it wasn't forever, but it was like 20 minutes or whatever, maybe longer. He did. There's a table in there, so they could put you on there and say, hey, does this hurt? Does this hurt? Whatever. Because actually, my deal was a pain thing. It was like, I'll just say that it was like a pain thing. It felt like a nerve, like some kind of pinched nerve or something, but I don't know for sure. They also thought, well, maybe it's kidney stones or bladder stones or UTI, because that could cause similar pain in the same area or whatever. And I did all that. We did the what do you call it? The scan. Um, yeah, of course I'm making a video now. I can't think of it. Not an MRI. It's ultrasound. Yeah, they did an ultrasound, and I'm pregnant. Shit. I don't know who the mother is. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, I know that was stupid. But anyway, yeah, I had an ultrasound. Okay, and might actually do MRI in the future if they don't resolve this, otherwise. But the doctor's visit was 700 pesos each time. I saw him twice actually, like in a couple of days. So that was 700 pesos. And I wrote down this stuff, because I want to keep track of it too, what I mean, just for my own purposes. The ultrasound was about 3,500 pesos, which is not bad. It's like $60. Okay. So I had the 2 visits. Now they did a urine test to check for UTI. That was only 182 pesos, which is a little over $3 US. Now we also did a PSA blood test, and that was about 3,000 pesos. Almost $60. A little over 3,000. And so what else was there? Okay, so the meds, right? The meds were a total of, then there was 2 different meds, and then there was a third med. Okay, so the two main meds were, and this was like maybe one of them was a 20 or 30 day supply, maybe the other one might have been only 10, or maybe it was 20 days and 10 days, I think. So that was like 3,100 peso. But however, I'll get into something right after I finish this about the hospital pharmacies compared to regular like Mercury Drug and Watson's. You're gonna want to hear that. But anyway, now the other med, the third med that I got was a 30-day supply for 830 pesos. Okay, 16 bucks, not even 15 bucks. With today's exchange rate, and that's for a month. That's 30-day supply. Okay, now so it's a total of about, I think it's about 12,000 pesos total, right? So a couple $100, right? Little more than $200 so far. Now if I do have to do an MRI, let's say 3 weeks from now when I go back, that's going to be more. I mean, that's going to be the most expensive single thing. That, from what I understand, I think it's like 9,000 peso. Which is whatever, 170 bucks probably. Not crazy though, right? Compared to the West, I would think, right? Like if you had no insurance in the West, Western Hospital or U.S., whatever, it would be. I'm assuming it'd be quite a bit more than that, or maybe double. I don't know. But the but I'll say this: what I learned about the meds, yeah, don't ever, if you can help it, don't, unless you're in the hospital. If you're stuck in a hospital and you have nobody to go to the drugstore for you, to get meds or whatever, then whatever, you might have to use, the pharmacy in the hospital. But if you can help it, do not, use the pharmacy in the hospital because it's a lot more expensive. Because we checked on the third medication, right? Because the first two, I didn't even think of it. I was just like, yeah, okay, let's do it. It's right here. And so we did, and it didn't seem insane. It was kind of like, yeah, it was a total of about 30 days supply, even though it was two different meds. It wasn't a full month for each, but you know what I'm saying? It was like 30 total. And it was like, okay, 60, whatever, 58 bucks. Okay, whatever. It wasn't insane, right? So I thought, okay, let's do it. But the third med, we got a price from the hospital pharmacy first. We're like, okay. And then we went to, on the way home, Amy told me, she goes, no, it'll be much cheaper. She goes, you know, I think it'll be a lot cheaper at Mercury, or wow. I think we went to Watson's actually. Usually we go to Mercury, but I think this time we went to Watson. It was like the closest one, right, in the mall before we got home. And it was like, I think it was like a third or maybe even a fourth of the price. It was like way cheaper, you know. That 830 pesos. I mean, the hospital, I think, it was like, it was like 3,000 or something like that, pesos. And so we were like, oh, okay. So much cheaper. So just keep that in mind, all right? If you ever have to, if you need meds from any kind of medical issue or visit that you had, and if you can help it, go to the drugstore and get it yourself, or don't get it inside the hospital pharmacy. So that's what I'll tell you. That's the big lesson, you know. But everything was pretty smooth. I was impressed. You know what I mean? Like, like I said, I was worried about it, man. I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's probably what prevented me from going right away. I was just like, maybe this will go away. But pain, man. When it comes to pain, and I've got a pretty high tolerance for it. I wouldn't say I'm a baby. Although I don't have a lot of aches and pains, previous to this, I don't. Luckily, try and take care of myself, and I don't have a lot of. But man, this was just like a dull. It was like a nerve, you know what I mean? Like some kind of pinched nerve or something. and it was kind of a dull, constant pain. It sort of, I couldn't sleep on one side and all that. You know what I mean? It was my favorite side to sleep on, you know, and stuff like that. So I was just like, yeah, I gotta get this taken care of, you know. But it was, like I said, pretty smooth. You know, everything was. I mean, the ultrasound didn't have to wait too long for that. Everybody seemed very competent and everything. You know, it was. I was impressed. You know. The urine sample thing, I got it back the same day, you know, so we did go back there, you know what I mean? We had it done earlier in the day, and then we, like 5, 6 hours later or whatever, we went back and we got it. And because it's close, you know, we walked. And so that was okay. It was clean, you know. Um, so yeah, I'll say, um, what was I gonna say? Like the yeah, everything was good. There was one thing I was gonna tell you, but oh well, you know the blood test, and I'll tell you, I've had trouble in the past in the U.S. with nurses trying to find my vein. You know, like they never can find my vein. You know, and I've had it, and recently it was okay that they could, but I mean, it wasn't too long ago, like maybe whatever 3, 4, 5 years ago, when I was seeing another, you know, doctor in Chicago just for my annual physicals and all that. They were just having trouble, and I remember one time I actually had to go to a whole nother like clinic in the U.S. just to get it done. You know what I mean? So I had to take another trip to a place, and you know that just because their nurse couldn't find my vein, you know, which was pretty frustrating, you know. But this nurse, no problem. You know what I mean? Like boom, found it right away. You know, took the blood and everything. So yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. This is kind of important too, right? And this applies to not just the hospitals, right, or doctors, but probably a lot of stuff in the Philippines or anywhere else. You know, when you're looking at the reviews, right? You know, which a lot of us look at the reviews. We're going to go somewhere. Hey, I'm going to go to this hospital, this doctor, whatever. Let's look at the reviews because there always are reviews, almost always. And when I was looking at the reviews of this hospital, there was a few, you know, not good reviews, but they were like 3, 4 years ago, right? All the ones that were recent within the last 6 months, they were all good reviews. So that told me like, okay, this place has improved a lot. You know, now they've got probably a bigger staff, whatever. They're better, you know, because every good review, and there was several, you know, was all within the last 6 months. And every bad review was literally like 3 years ago, you know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, you know. So just keep that in mind too, right? You know, if you're looking at reviews, don't just look at when they were, when the review was put on there, you know. Don't just look at the reviews and read them, you know, without looking at the date, you know. Or they usually won't. They might not have the exact date, but it'll say 2 years ago, whatever, you know, 3 years ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago. That's it, guys. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I'll update you on, you know, whatever, when it gets resolved, then I'll talk about it, you know what I mean? And whatever additional costs there were, right? Like if I do have to do an MRI, I'll confirm how much that was. And keep in mind, I'm in Manila, you know, I'm not in some small town, you know, where maybe some of these things would be cheaper, right? Possibly. But for me, I mean, you know, a couple $100 for all the stuff, you know, 2 doctor visits and all the stuff that I just explained to you, you know, urine test, blood test, you know, the and the other and the what do you call it, the ultrasound. I can't think of that word for some reason. But all that stuff, if you think about it, I mean, you know, add it up and what it would cost in your country, you know, without insurance, and I'm sure this is quite a bit cheaper, you know. And also, one more thing, you know, it is still, no matter, this is a good hospital and everything, but I'm telling you, and this is probably throughout the Philippines, or at least, you know, largely, even Manila, it's still, when it comes to at least, you know, a lot of places, it's a paper and pen society. You know what I mean? It's not like the medical system in the US, for example. That's all I can speak for, right? That's where I'm from, you know, that's where I lived previously. But it's not, you know, like there, it's like, man, once you're in their system electronically, man, everything's electronic. You show up and you just tell them your name and they pull you up. Thomas, you know, whatever, and they know everything about you. You know what I mean? Just by click a few clicks, you know, and they know your whole history. That's not the case here. You know, you got to fill out stuff every time you go, even though you've been to the same doctor 5 times in a week. You know, you're gonna have to fill out the, but it's not a long form or nothing. But you know, it's just something quick. You know, but the point is it's paper and pen. They don't have the sort of database and you know, internet connectivity and all that hooked up to their particular, you know, like hospital, whatever, you know. So that's the only thing I would love to see that change, you know, to where they get more electronic, especially with the medical system. I mean, back in the US, man, I could just log in and see my whole results of everything, my past test results, the year before that test results, all my shots, everything. You know, I could just literally log in real quick, boom, boom, and see everything. It's great, you know. So I would hope that the Philippines will get to that point fairly soon, you know. So we'll see. But anyway, all right, guys, that's about it. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Oh, I appreciate it once again if you do like, comment, and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I'll see you later.